Good morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here, Midwest Market Management. I've got Riley Sykart on with me here today. It is Tuesday, June 25th. June 23rd. We're going to jump into South America weather. We've been talking a lot about the safrinha corn crop, Riley. That's the last of the Mohicans here, I guess. It's kind of the last for the year down there. We're pushing along, get a lot of it into harvest, probably harvest already underway. It's been a good season. They got in pretty timely. There were a little bit of delays early on that, we were concerned that would push the safrinha too deep into the dry season. But all in all, they got about an average crop going, Riley, maybe a little bit above average. On a program note, we are going to wind down next week. We're going to wrap up. We're getting to the point where it doesn't feel like weather is going to be a major game changer now as far as yields. They're pretty far along here outside of traditional, concerns, storms, or things of that nature that would knock corn down or prevent harvest. It's getting to the stage where it's going to be what it's going to be. So we're going to drop off starting next week. We're going to try to put together a nice summary with some production estimates and some ranges of what to expect, but I don't believe that safrinha weather is really a market moving event anymore at this stage of the game. So with that said, Riley, what do we have on the weather maps here today?
Similar things to what we've been seeing for a while, Clint. Moving over to the maps, as always, the first thing I am going to do is put into perspective how big of an area we're talking about. Safrinha crop, we're looking anywhere from Mato Grosso down through Paraná. And if you take just Mato Grosso on the US map, it's almost the whole Midwest. So this safrinha crop's a lot bigger area than you think it is when you're looking at it. So one new thing I do have today, and I'll have this next week as well, harvest progress for that safrinha crop is sitting at 6%. That is compared to a 9% on a 5-year average. So numbers off to I would say, mediocre or average start. Nothing really out of the ordinary here. Yield talks so far have been pretty much right in line. I haven't heard them or read any reports that are saying yields are just out of this world, but at the same time, they've still been strong and within expectations. So moving ahead here, 1 to 5 day temperatures. Mato Grosso still in the 80s and 90s in the north, and as you go south, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. To even as you go further south into way southern Brazil, doesn't matter as much down there. They're at the point in the year where the crops are out, but highs only in the 50s. So the good news is for areas like Paraná, the crop's far enough along where grain filling's pretty far along as well. And an issue of a frost or a freeze right now is not carrying the same weight it would have 2 to 3 weeks ago. So just not overly concerned right now with temperatures either to the high or to the low sides. But even with that, stuff has been relatively mild, still 80s and 90s in the north, 60s and 70s in the south for the safrinha area. Overall, just very, very consistent with highs. So over the last 2 weeks, trend that we're very used to in the north, dry season has continued. No rain has really came. In the south, they've definitely gotten more rain than they normally would for a dry season. So that is definitely one thing that has really helped. When Clint, you were talking earlier, in the beginning of the year, we were worried some corn did get stuck in late for the safrinha crop, but a lot of that was in these southern areas, and they actually have gotten the rain that they normally wouldn't be getting as much of. So that's definitely eased some of the high stress and tension that came with that later planting date. So the thought of a yield disaster has been consistently cut and shredded, and we're just at a spot where everything's very consistent. So over the next 1 to 5 days, some chances of rain in eastern growing areas, but overall, not much in the forecast. Definitely not anything out of the ordinary here. And 6 to 10 day, very, very dry in the north, but more rain potential in the south again. So those areas in the south definitely still have high yield potential. So overall, on the 1 to 13 day forecast, there's a lot more color in that than you would expect for this time of year. So the overall safrinha crop, Clint, I would say is going to come in within expectations, and I don't see any reason for that to be changing, at least in the next 2 weeks. So with that said, I think that's all the more I got for us today.
All right. Thanks again, Riley. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, Clint McLaughlin, Riley Sicard, Midwest Market Management. We'll be back on here next week with our wrap up of safrinha weather for the year. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.